It is April 14th, 1912. Somewhere in the North Atlantic Ocean, 400 miles south of Newfoundland, 1,517 people are about to die. Not in a war, not in a storm. The ocean is completely flat tonight. The stars are out. There is not a single wave. You probably think you know what kills them. You think it is the iceberg. You think it is the cold water. You think it is the chaos. It is not any of those things. What kills 1,517 people on the most famous ship in history is something far quieter. It is the hour before the water reaches the deck, when the ship still feels solid, when the band is still playing, when every instinct you have says you are safe. You wake up in cabin E101, second class. The bunk is narrow, but the sheets are clean, and the ship hums beneath you like something alive. That vibration is 29 boilers running 4 decks below, pushing 46,000 tons of steel at 22 knots through black water. You have been asleep for 3 hours. You do not know that the ship's designer, Thomas Andrews, walked into the flooding compartments 11 minutes ago, put his hand in the rising water, and did the math in his head. The Titanic can float with 4 compartments flooded. 5 are flooding. He went to find the captain and told him the ship would sink, not might. Would. In approximately 1 hour and 40 minutes. You're still asleep when that conversation happens. 1 deck above you, a couple is arguing about whether to get dressed and go up. 3 cabins down, a man decides the whole thing is overblown and pulls his blanket back over his shoulders. These are ordinary decisions made by ordinary people with no way to know what ordinary costs tonight. What wakes you is a knock. Quiet, almost apologetic. A steward's voice through the door. Precautionary measure, he says. Lifebelts. Boat deck. Nothing to worry about. His voice is steady because he has been told to keep it steady. You hear nothing in it that sounds like emergency. You pull on your trousers, your shirt, your jacket. You strap the life belt over everything and it feels ridiculous. Like wearing a flotation device in your living room. Before you leave, you reach into your jacket pocket without thinking. There's a photograph in there folded twice. Your sister's daughter, almost 2 years old, lives in New York and you have never met her. You have been on this ship for 4 days because of her. You find that photograph in the dark and you go out the door. The boat deck is not what you expected. No panic, no crowd. About 50 people stand around in the cold looking slightly embarrassed, like passengers who arrived too early to something and are not sure they should be there. The sky is so full of stars it looks painted. The ship's band is playing ragtime 1 deck below, and you can feel the brass in the metal railing under your hands. A woman in a fur coat next to you says, "This is absolutely ridiculous," and walks back inside. You understand completely why she goes. The ship is enormous and warm and real in a way that small wooden boat is not. Every sense you have is telling you the same thing. Stay where it is solid. Stay where it is light. The only thing pulling you toward that boat is a thought, quiet and inconvenient, that you cannot quite dismiss. Here is what you do not know yet. Standing at that railing at 12:14 in the morning, the water flooding the lower compartments has already passed F deck. 2 postal workers are down there right now dragging 200 sacks of mail up a staircase, filling with water. They cannot save the mail. The water is rising faster than they can move, and they know it, and they keep going anyway. You have 71 minutes before this ship breaks in half. A crewman waves you toward Lifeboat 12. You walk over and look at it. A wooden boat hanging 70 feet above black ocean on ropes that creak when the wind moves them. It holds 65 people. There are 20 people sitting in it. You count the empty seats. You look at the enormous lit ship around you, still warm, still humming, stewards still moving through hallways below, like this is an ordinary crossing. You feel the deck solid and perfectly level beneath your feet. Every instinct you have says stay. You get in anyway. The rope drops you toward the water and you watch the Titanic's lights rise above you as you descend. Porthole after porthole still glowing. People are still at the rail above, watching you go with the expression of people observing something that has nothing to do with them yet. Lifeboat 12 touches the ocean at 1:25 a.m. with 40 people in a boat that holds 65. 25 empty seats. The oarsmen row and nobody speaks, and the ship behind you does not look like it is sinking. This is the part nobody tells you about the Titanic. The ship takes 2 hours and 40 minutes to go under. 2 hours and 40 minutes of the buoy dropping 1 inch at a time while the deck stays lit and the interior stays warm. At 12:30 a.m., the angle is barely detectable. At 1 a.m., It is visible but not alarming. At 1:15 a.m., the tilt becomes undeniable, and that is when the calm becomes something else entirely. Every lifeboat that launched before 1:15 a.m. goes out with empty seats. Lifeboat 6 launches with 28 people in a boat that holds 65. It does not go back. Lifeboat 1 launches with 12 people in a boat that holds 40. It does not go back. The first lifeboat off the ship carries 28 people across 37 empty seats and rows away from 1,500 people in the water and does not return. One boat goes back. Lifeboat 14. It pulls 13 people out of the dark. At 2:17 a.m., the lights go out across the entire ship at once. At 2:20 a.m., the Titanic breaks in half at the third funnel. The stern rises completely vertical, 300 feet of ship pointing straight up at those stars and then slides straight down. The largest moving object built by human hands at that point in history disappears in under 3 minutes. What the people in the lifeboats hear next, they carry for the rest of their lives. 1,500 people in 28-degree water. Cold shock hits inside 60 seconds. You cannot control your breathing. Swimming becomes impossible inside 3 minutes. Incapacitation comes somewhere between 15 and 30 minutes. The people in the water are close enough to the lifeboats that the people in the lifeboats can hear them. That closeness and that silence is what survivors describe until they die. The Carpathia arrives at 4:10 a.m. Her captain, Arthur Rostron, had pushed her through ice fields for 2 hours at 17 knots. Her rated top speed was 14. He had the soup kettles lit, blankets out, gangway doors open, and nets rigged along the hull before he got there. He finds 705 people. He finds ocean where the other 1,517 should be. He circles the area until there is nothing left to find. Then he sets course for New York. Here's what the Titanic actually was, and this is the part that should make you angry. 6 iceberg warnings reached the Titanic's wireless room on April 14, 1912. The last one, from a ship called the Mesaba, described a massive field of ice sitting directly across the Titanic's course. The wireless operator, Jack Phillips, set it aside without marking it urgent. He was clearing passenger telegrams, personal messages, travel updates, things paying passengers had asked him to send. The Mesaba's warning never reached the bridge. A ship called the Californian was stopped in ice 10 to 20 miles away that same night. Her crew watched white rockets rising from the horizon at intervals for over an hour. The Titanic's distress signals. They woke their captain. He said the Titanic would not be firing rockets and went back to sleep. In the morning, they learned what an hour of white rockets in the North Atlantic actually means. There were lifeboats on the Titanic for 1,178 people. There were 2,224 people aboard. Maritime law in 1912 set lifeboat requirements based on a ship's registered tonnage, not on how many human beings were inside it. The law had not been updated since 1894. The Titanic exceeded the legal requirement. No one had pushed to change it because no one believed a ship this size could sink fast enough to need every seat filled. After 1,517 people drowned, the law changed within months. The International Ice Patrol was created to track North Atlantic icebergs and still operates today. Wireless operators were required on duty around the clock. Every ship was required to carry lifeboats for every person aboard. Every single one of those decisions was available the day before. It took 1,517 deaths to make obvious what was already obvious. You are in Lifeboat 12. Someone put a wool blanket around your shoulders without a word. Your hands are shaking in a way you cannot stop. Nothing on the horizon in any direction except stars and black water and the sound of oars. In your jacket pocket, folded twice, slightly damp from the ocean air, is a photograph of a little girl in New York you have never met. The Carpathia finds you at 4:10 a.m. You are going to meet her. You got in the boat when the deck was still level, when the music was still playing, when every instinct you had said the ship was fine, and the water was cold, and the boat was small, and there was no reason yet to move. That is the only reason you are alive. 705 people survived the Titanic. The difference between who lived and who did not was almost never strength or luck. It was timing, moving before 1:15 a.m., before the angle was undeniable, before the crowd moved, before the ship stopped feeling like the safest place within 1,000 miles. The most dangerous place on the Titanic that night was not the water. It was the warm, dry deck at 12:30 in the morning. Lights on, music playing, ocean flat, ship solid, and no visible reason in the world to climb into a cold wooden boat and let go. The danger was never the iceberg. The danger was the hour when everything still looked fine.